What is up, guys? The doctor is back in the office, and today we're going to be making fights to make after UFC 322. JDM versus Islam Makhachev. Obviously, our boy JDM loses the belt. It was absolutely fucking terrible. He got his manhood taken away. He was crying. It was pretty hard to see. I mean, it wasn't as bad as Hamza DP, but whatever. We're gonna really put some fire matchups in for the welterweight division, because that's the most stacked division in the UFC right now. We're going to match up Islam with what I think his next matchup's going to be. And overall, this could be a fucking banger-ass video. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's move on. We're going to start off with the champ, Islam Makhachev, and I'm going to match him up against Michael Morales. Listen, this all changes if Ian Gary beats Belal Muhammad on Saturday. If Ian Gary wins, Ian Gary versus Islam Makhachev. Done. End of story. They can market it as, you know, Conor versus Khabib too, with the Irish thing that Ian Gary's got going on. He fucking sucks. I hope Belal wins, but whatever. As things stand right now, I'm doing Michael Morales versus Islam Makhachev. I think it makes the most sense. Michael Morales is probably the most exciting prospect we have in the welterweight division right now. Super long, super rangy, coming off a sick win against Sean Brady, who you'll see later in this video get in a nice matchup. Had that nice win over Gilbert Burns before that. I mean, I don't even know how Islam would attack this matchup. This dude is a absolute mutant. He's a fucking freak. Sean Brady couldn't even get a takedown attempt on this dude practically, because this guy is so wild. I mean, he overextends, so I think the right dude can pick him apart. But I don't even know if Islam... I'm going to start pushing agendas that Michael Morales can fucking knock out Islam Makhachev. You're going to hear me say it on this channel for the rest of the time if this matchup gets made. And I know some people are going to come in here and say, oh, what about Carlos Prates? Carlos Prates, he beat a dude in Leon Edwards, great win, but Leon was on a downward spiral, and he also Carlos Prates lost to Ian Gary fairly easily, and he got really controlled on the ground and taken down fairly easily in that. So if he faced Islam right now, he would get absolutely smoked. You'll see what I have planned for him later, but it's not Islam Makhachev. Did I consider it? Maybe, but not really. Either way, I think Michael Morales is super exciting, a really interesting style that I don't even know how Islam would attack. And as things stand right now, I'm doing Islam Makhachev versus Michael Morales. And some people are also going to talk about Ilya. He called out Ilya. That fight would happen in the White House. I'm not waiting 7 months or whatever it is for it to come around in June. Ilya has to defend the belt once at lightweight, at least in January or February. And I think Islam also has to defend the welterweight belt at least once against an actual welterweight, you know what I mean? So Ilya, we got to wait on that. Eventually it will happen. Don't get me wrong. Everybody wants to see that fight. I want to see that fight. It's just not going to happen right now. Do this in like March or something, because Michael Morales took no damage and Islam Makhachev took no damage. So do it in the earlier part of next year. If Islam wins, then you do the Ilya fight. But I will say this, before I move on to who I'm going to match up for JDM, don't be surprised when this fucking bald fuck steals the title shot, because both him and Islam managed by Ali Abdulaziz. It would put a lot of money in their pockets. Islam has already expressed a ton of interest in fighting Kamaru Usman for the belt, in terms of it's the biggest name in the division, albeit this guy's 1-3 in his last 4 fights. He's got finished. Has he gotten fit? I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying. He lost to Hamza, lost to Leon Edwards. This isn't the same dude anymore. He looked nice against Joaquin Buckley, but Joaquin Buckley has a lot of holes in his takedown defense, and this guy has no knees anymore. I have zero confidence that he could beat Islam. I think it would be... Listen, I understand it from Islam's perspective. You pick up a big win over one of the 2015 greatest fighters ever, the second best welterweight, arguably best welterweight ever. And it's a fairly easy win for him. I don't really think he'd take any damage. I honestly think he could finish Kamaru Usman. Even with as good as Kamaru Usman's wrestling is, he's just not that same guy anymore. But I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC did this. It would be a big name matchup for the division. But I think as things stand right now, I'm doing Islam Makhachev versus Michael Morales. Moving on to JDM. Obviously, tough loss for JDM. It absolutely sucked. It was upsetting to watch. But I'm going to match up JDM with a guy who also has great offensive grappling. A dude who was on this card and lost. You guessed it. Nope. Didn't fucking go there. Sean Brady. Sean Brady, I was arguing before, could have given Islam Makhachev problems in the grappling game. And I felt bad for him that he took that fight against Michael Morales. Probably could have waited around. He was technically like the rightful #1 contender. Takes a fight against a really risky prospect in Michael Morales, who is so long, so rangy. Again, a mutant. He's a freak. and he couldn't find any entries to attack with the takedowns, was kind of just flicking calf kicks and jabs, and really had no chance. As soon as Michael Morales opened up, Sean Brady died. It was really upsetting to watch. And you knew as soon as you saw him wearing knee sleeves, fucking kid was cooked, man. He had no chance. But as for JDM, I also considered, a Shavkat matchup, but Shavkat I don't think deserves a JDM. He's been out for forever, and I don't know if that really tests the kind of areas that I want to see JDM get tested in. I want to see JDM really get tested in the grappling game, and Shavkat has decent offensive grappling, but I think it's overrated, and I would rather see the Sean Brady matchup for him. And again, Sean Brady didn't even get a chance to show off his wrestling against Michael Morales. I can guarantee you would take down JDM. Even if JDM's takedown defense massively improves, Sean Brady's still going to get him down. This fight was also supposed to happen before, and if JDM wins this, it's showing, damn, I really fucking proved that I have elite level grappling defense. He's a lot better on the feet than Sean Brady, but Sean Brady also has elite level grappling. So it'd be a really interesting kind of stylistic difference between these two dudes. If JDM wins, he can be like, fuck, I deserve another shot at the title. If Sean Brady wins, he keeps himself right in that title picture, and also is an American, so I think there'll be a little bit of bias. And if he can get a finish, fuck, put him on the White House card, you know what I mean? But either way, really exciting matchup. JDM got his soul taken from him against Islam, and it absolutely sucks. Let's match him up against Sean Brady, Philly's finest. Absolute banger. You put this as the co-main on the Volk card in February back in Perth or Sydney, wherever they're having it in Australia, Tasmania. I don't fucking know. And Sean Brady, or maybe this is a main event of a fight night. Either way, this is a banger of a fight. Fuck. Moving on to, well, before I actually move on to these next couple fights, I want to talk about the women's fights, which I'm not going to be matchmaking. I have zero interest. I hyped these fights up. They did absolutely nothing. Valentina Shevchenko, I'll say this. She's going to fight Natalia Silva. She expressed interest in Kayla Harrison. Kayla Harrison, I also think, wants to fight her. Kayla Harrison would smash you, Valentina Shevchenko. You're boring. You've ruined your legacy by being incredibly boring. So I'm going to take Valentina Shevchenko versus Natalia Silva. And as for Zhang Weili, just bring her back down to strawweight to beat Mackenzie Dern's ass, restore order to the division. You just couldn't fucking kick it at flyweight. It's okay. You're still one of the GOATs. It was just an incredibly boring fight, but whatever. Moving on to another guy who had a really fun fight, Carlos Prates. Carlos Prates, I'm going to match him up against Belal Muhammad. Now, Belal, this doesn't even matter. If Belal wins or loses, I think this matchup happens. Because if Belal beats Ian Gary, they're not giving him a title shot. The UFC doesn't like this guy whatsoever. Face it. I like Belal, but he's incredibly boring. You know what I mean? So, do Belal Muhammad versus Carlos Prates. Carlos Prates, you don't deserve a title shot yet. You beat a dude in Leon Edwards who's on a downturn. I don't care what stupid thing Dana White said to you about if you knock this dude out, you get a title shot. I need to see you tested against a real true grappler. Because if he fought Islam right now, he would get absolutely smashed. I don't think his takedown defense is good enough. I think it's underrated, but I don't think it's there yet. If he beats Belal, then you beat a really talented grappler and wrestler in Belal Muhammad, and that would be a really nice win over a dude who was a former champion. I also considered Kamaru Usman here, but again, I think Kamaru Usman's really going to lobby for the title shot. Or like Shavkat. I think Usman versus Shavkat is kind of what I'm matching him up with. And you could put that on Fight Night main event. They have some beef. I think when Prates fought and beat Charles Radke, these two dudes kind of got into it. And again, if he could stop the wrestling of Belal Muhammad, then he deserves a title shot. I think it's as simple as that. Fuck it. And he's the only fighting nerd that I think is immune to getting like hate. I think everybody likes Carlos Prates, honestly. I'm sure somebody will be like, I don't like if he smokes and drinks. You're a fucking loser. You're a fucking bum, man. You're a fucking knucklehead. Whatever. Moving on to the loser of the Carlos Prates fight, Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards, I don't really know what's left for you, kid, man. Come on, Leon. Come on, Rocky. Your career in the UFC is close to over. We're going to do Leon Edwards. I'm going to match him with Jorge Masvidal, who was in the crowd yesterday, was applauding John Pork for beating the shit out of Dylan Dennis. Hasn't fought in the UFC in 2 years since the Gilbert Burns fight. I don't really even know what you do with Leon Edwards at this point because, I thought Gilbert Burns would be an option, but, I don't really, I guess that kind of makes sense, but if it's not Gilbert Burns, it's like Gabriel Bonfim, I saw a lot, or Mike Malott. And I honestly think he would lose to both those dudes. I think he would beat Gilbert Burns. But, Gabriel Bonfim, who I put a $500,000 bounty on, go watch that video. I would be pissed if Leon Edwards versus Gabriel Bonfim would be like a hate watch where I just hope either dude fucking gets flatline KO'd. And you know what? At this point, I've seen Leon get flatline KO'd, so maybe I just want to see, I would want to see Gabriel Bonfim. So I'd root for Leon Edwards if he fought Gabriel Bonfim. Not a hot take, but this matchup, in my opinion, does make some sense. You know, Jorge Masvidal called this dude out to fight at the White House. This fight was supposed to happen already. It was like that one welterweight fight between the Kobe, Usman, you know, like Gilbert Burns's, the Jorge Masvidal's, fucking Wonder Boys, Tyron Woodley's. Like, you know, all these dudes were fighting each other, and this fight just never happened. You know, it got canceled. I forget, honestly, why. It'd be a fun press conference. And I think Leon Edwards would beat Jorge Masvidal. Dude looks so fat. He looks like he ate so many donuts. If you saw him with Poirier and Usman, guy looks fat. Guy looks fat in this picture. And I think Leon Edwards would win this. I don't really know what's left for him. At least this would be a big name for him to beat and a chance to get back in the win column, because he might fall. I don't even know where he's going to fall. Shit, give him the Colby rematch. Either way. Moving down the card to the first fight, first winner on the main card, BSD. And this is also dependent on how a fight goes on Saturday. I'm going to match up BSD with Dan Hooker. I considered Gamrot here, considered Fiziev. I think Gamrot could make sense. It'd probably be an interesting grappling matchup. And Gamrot, you know, he didn't take a ton of damage against Charles. He just got submitted. So it could, you know, Jesus, it could be an option. But I'm going to do Dan Hooker. I think Dan Hooker's going to lose to Arman. I give credit to Benoit Saint-Denis, because we sent out, you know, Renato Moicano and Dustin Poirier to kill him. And they did kill him. And credit them. He's on a 3-fight win streak. Beat Prepelec, beat Mauricio Huffy, and then destroyed Grandpa Beneil Dariush. And I said about Rafael Fiziev that I was considering that matchup, but I think I matched him up in the other video with Ludwig Klein, and I don't really know what his injury timeline is right now, so I'm not going to go back to that. So it really only leaves Dan Hooker or who'd I say, Gamrot as kind of options. But I think Dan Hooker, this would be a pretty fun fight. If BSD beats him, fuck, then we got to start worrying about BSD like entering top 5 range. And Gamrot, I think could be an option too. But BSD versus Dan Hooker be a pretty fun matchup. Dan Hooker, obviously a great striker, has some underrated wrestling. BSD, you know, ultimate blockhead, you know, really straight punches, slow entries into his takedowns, telegraph takedowns, somehow is on a 3-fight win streak. Whatever. He KO'd Beneil Dariush. Dan Hooker at least doesn't have a ton of holes in this game that I think a guy like BSD is really going to expose. So it could be interesting to see BSD, you know, after the Poirier fight, kind of last, I'd say, like, decently well-rounded fighter he fought, fight a guy like Dan Hooker, who I think is still pretty good. Whatever, do BSD versus Dan Hooker. I think it'd be a really fun fight. Moving on to the loser of that fight, Uncle Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush, I'm matching him up with retirement. He should just retire. That's what I think. But no, I'm going to match him up with Grant Dawson, who's 14th ranked in the division. I was also considering Quillen Salkild here, but then I was like, does the UFC want Beneil Dariush to die? I was like, maybe not. I kind of want to see Salkild. Like, I think the Moicano fight honestly makes a little bit more sense, because I don't think even though he lost to Beneil Dariush, I don't know if he gets chinned as badly as, you know, Beneil Dariush. I think Beneil Dariush's chin is absolutely gone. I don't really rate Grant Dawson super highly, and he's fighting Manuel Torres in December, so I don't really know. I don't even know if he's going to win that. And he's won his last 3 fights, finished Rafa Garcia, beat Diego Ferreira in there. And I think Salkild will be too risky of a matchup, but I think this would be fun because both these two dudes are grappling heavy. You'd see some really fun scrambles. I don't think we'd have to worry about Beneil Dariush dying and falling face first in the fight. And I don't want to see Beneil Dariush die again. I think this guy's been super underrated his whole career. He's just washed now. It's as simple as that. So Beneil Dariush versus Grant Dawson. Do it sometime later next year, obviously, because Dawson's fighting in December and Dariush just got epically KO'd. And if Dariush retired, I wouldn't even blame him, because it's probably done for you, buddy. Moving on to guys in the prelims, we're going to just start off with both Bot frickin' Nickal. All the freaking motherfuckers who doubted this dude. Freaking motherfrickers who doubted this guy. Not me. I picked him to win, so I was thinking, where do we go with Bo Nickal? Because Susurkayev called him out, but I think that'd be a downgrade for him. And I think Bo Nickal currently would beat Susurkayev. So I'm going to match him up with Shar Nurmagomedov. Shar Bullet. I was also considering a I was also thinking, taking into account that Shara's might fight Paulo Costa, but maybe that never happens. And I don't think a ranked opponent makes sense for Bo Nickal right now. And he needs kind of a name. Frick all the haters. This guy's definitely going to beat Hamzat. You know, who does that to Rodolfo Vieira? That's kind of what I have to say about Bo Nickal. Shara can't really grapple that great. Has decent takedown defense, but he can get controlled pretty easily. So I think this is incredibly winnable for Bo Nickal. And Shara Bullet provides like interesting striking, so it's not going to be like a free win or anything. And he's kind of smaller for the division, kind of like Bo Nickal is. And I think he could win this sometime next year. Fuck it. Maybe you throw it on the White House, let Bo Nickal sit around talking about Happy Valley and fucking Drew Aller and all the boys over in Penn State. But yeah, make this happen. Bo Nickal versus Shara Bullet would be a pretty interesting, fun matchup. Two names that people know about who are casuals. Give Bo frickin' Nickal a chance. And after he wins this, then maybe you start talking about ranked opponents for him. How about that for Bo frickin' Nickal? All the frickin' haters who doubted this, dude. Moving on, we go down the prelims. I think next up is Robocop, and I'm going to match him up with Ikram Alaskarov. And honestly, I'm regretting putting Ikram Alaskarov here. I think Marvin Vettori would also be an option. Ikram Alaskarov's kind of right outside the top 15. Vettori would be kind of fun because Robocop could really test the chin of the greatest chin we've ever seen. So that would be kind of fun. But I think Alaskarov, I also match up with Dolidze. Listen, Robocop could fight Dolidze. You know what I mean? Like, I just match everybody up with Roman Dolidze because I think he sucks and I want him out of the rankings. But this would be a pretty fun striking matchup because Alaskarov is kind of like a like one of the striking Dagestanis, even though he kind of wrestle fucked Iron Turtle in his last fight a couple weeks ago. Robocop also, I think he knocked out Iron Turtle, so that would be kind of fun. Either way, winner of this gets ranked. It's simple as that. Credit to Robocop. Really nice performance over Kopylov, where he just really put the fucking pressure on him, put the beat down on him. He's just a walking steroid. I mean, look at Robocop and telling me that guy's just he's a ball of muscle, bro. Obama is just a different beast. Alaskarov, he kind of gives you a little bit of the grappling along with the striking, but I think Robocop would win this. I honestly think he's like really... He's just really solid. I think anybody in the back half of the middleweight he can honestly beat, except Joe Pyfer, obviously, because Joe Pyfer is my goat. But whatever. Do Robocop versus Ikram Alaskarov would be a pretty fun striking match. Also have some interesting, like both these two dudes will mix in the grappling pretty well. Moving on to the last fight we're going to do. Blank Figure versus Adrian Yanez. That blank figure is Ethyn Ewing. Ethyn Ewing with a really nice performance over Malcolm Wellmaker, steps in on short notice, looked really good, rolled with the punch as well, looked super technical. I mean, to do that on 2 days' notice against Malcolm Wellmaker, who is one of the hottest prospects in bantamweight, is super impressive. Everybody's going to be glazing Ethyn Ewing now, including me. Hopefully the UFC eventually gives this dude a profile picture, because currently he has none. I've seen some people throw this out there. People forget, man. I mean, Adrian Yanez, this guy was a fucking marauder, man. And he's lost 3 of his last 4. Got finished by Rob Font. Got finished by Jonathan Martinez. Also lost his last fight to Daniel Marcos, who's good. So this guy's lost a lot of his hype as a prospect. But it still is a legit name for Ethyn Ewing to fight. And I just think this would be a fun striking matchup. I think it'd be, you know, people who watch the UFC know who Adrian Yanez is. Ethyn Ewing really has built himself up, you know, with that Malcolm Wellmaker performance, where now you're looking at this guy and be like, shit, maybe he could be a little force in the bantamweight division. Did a really nice job striking. Like, beautiful, so technical. Like, just... And the extended combinations that he was throwing at Malcolm Wellmaker were just a thing of beauty. So I would do this. Ethyn Ewing versus Adrian Yanez. Yanez was supposed to fight Christian Quiones, last week, and Randy Brown versus Gabriel Bonfim in the Apex, but he withdrew, and then he didn't want to take on somebody else short notice. So I would just do this. I think this makes perfect sense. Gives Ethyn Ewing a chance to beat a former hype prospect and decently big name. It gives Adrian Yanez a chance to beat a guy who has some hype on him, get a win back in his win column, and overall, a really fun fight. The only thing I would change about this video, maybe I would match up Robocop with Marvin Vettori, give him a chance at a ranked guy with a crazy chin, and Robocop has crazy power. But that's besides the point. That's this video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. These are the matchups I would make. I think I'm gonna do like a full like welterweight division breakdown, maybe after the completion of Ian Gary versus Bilal, because then we kind of have some more things sorted out. But man, what a fucking division. It's almost hard to match. There's almost like no bad matchups you can make. But Either way, banger division. Now with Islam in it, it just becomes even more stacked. But let me know what you guys think about the fights, matchups to make after UFC 322. Leave what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for all the continued support on the videos. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. The doctor is signing off.